So we're going to start with the color experiment here. And what I'm going to do is show these three colors. And I want everybody to tell me, what is this color? You could just use your words with your lips. Red, right? What is that color? Blue, yes, okay. And this? Green, okay, good. Simple, right? All right, I just want to make sure we're doing this check here. Okay, great. So I'm going to squeeze it down and squeeze it down even more until it's barely visible, the difference, but you can still see. Can you still see the difference between red, green, and blue? Okay, now what I'm going to do is repeat this on the right hand, okay, of the screen. I now put this white box behind a couple of the stripes here, and I'm going to move it around, okay? What color is that box? Oh, this resolution got really weird. Hold on a second here. If I just do this, even if I just move it right here, what color is that box? What color is this? White. What about that? I see quite a few of you say yellow. Yeah, or greenish, yellowish color, right? Okay, so we're going to get back to this, but just remember this experiment, okay? Because when I zoom in, as you can imagine, it's still a white box when I move it around, okay? So if I move it around, it's still a white box. And yet our eyes lied to us and start calling it a yellow box or green box, depending on who you are, right? So that's why that's an example of this lecture title of, oh, I put sitting here on there. Sorry about that. Just for the video, so you guys have it. Bye-bye, sitting here, because this is your Cine Expo, so all right, good. Okay. So this is a lecture called Why Eyes Lie, and it's an introduction to lighting color science, and you will see as the talk progresses why I mean this is an introduction to lighting color science. And first, I want to thank Aputure for bringing me here from the west coast of the United States to be able to have the privilege to share and bore and give you all a great nap for the next 45 minutes, right? But I also do want to thank VideoFax. They're a company, camera rental facility in San Francisco area who gave me all the cameras to test to do this lecture to guarantee that what you see is not just a single point of data for a single camera. I tested 16 cameras. It's all the same issue, okay? And I had to prove it. So what I'm talking to you today is not biased to one specific case. This is a general issue, right? So, so thank you, VideoFax. So my name is Tim. I'm a husband, I'm a father, and also a cinematographer. And it's extremely important for me to say this because for those of you here who want to pursue a career in the motion picture business, your identity of who you are is something that's important to hold and to treasure and to guide you in your process of moving through this crazy business. And I'm an example of this. I'm a cinematographer. No matter what I want to do in life, I'll always be a cinematographer. It's something I discovered when I was 30. And right now, I am not shooting movies. I'm not shooting commercials. I am working as a cinematographer, but as a principal engineer for a lighting company to guide the products, but also help guide the business towards making and things work for us as cinematographers. So there are many dimensions of who you are, and I just want to encourage you, especially if you're younger in the business, don't feel like you have to have a rigidly defined way to live out your calling in life, all right? And my lecture here is proof of that because I get to do this, and it's wonderful. So I founded a lighting committee of the ASC to start addressing a lot of the issues that plague the film business especially in lighting. I'm also a member of the Imago Technical Council as associate member, and work with color management for SMPTE. And again, I am the principal engineer of Aputure, and I do education and also guide the products to do the right thing. So I have a background, I'm a cinematographer, but I also have a background in biomedical engineering, and that's why this is probably one of the nerdiest talks you'll have to suffer through. So, so my question to you, and because this is an awkward format, and it's hard to do this with a microphone, and also no one ever likes answering this question. When I say, who are you? Nobody ever raises their hand. So, and speak. So I will just ask, who here is a cinematographer? Okay, great. So quite a few of you. Who here is a gaffer or a lighting person? Okay, or lighting programmer or anyone else in lighting? Okay, director, producer. Okay, great. There's a producer here, so you can understand the importance of what I'm talking about here. And educator or in school. Okay, great. All right, so again, I had a talk earlier this morning, and I always say this at the beginning of my talk. The whole point of all this and all the nerdiness that you see here is to serve visual storytelling. It's not the other way around. You want to be an artist, you want to tell a story with the image, you are making a very specific choice that you are designing to communicate something. And if you want to do that, the equipment and the technology should serve you to do that. But how often does that really happen? Or how much do you have to fight with reality to get what you want? That is the purpose of this talk, is that we are here using color technology to understand how things break, to understand then how can we make it work for us, okay? So to do that, we have what I call the 4 F's of testing color technology. We have Stefan here. Give a hand for Stefan. We have a couple of flags here, okay? We have 3 different lights. This is a RGB W light. This is a Blair CG light. These are the types of diodes they have in them. And that is the most advanced form of lighting technology right there, and that is a incandescent lamp, right? Okay. And we now have the elements. We have 2 cameras, and I'm going to switch out here. I'm going to go to this video surface here, and you see I have an iPad controlling the lights. So if I hit go, you can see that the lights turn on. And if I switch between colors, I can switch between colors. So now you can see that we have stuff going on. And I will also show you the camera view. So this is camera view 1, camera view 2. And then as you can also tell, you can't really see much except for the available light because I turned off the lights. But when I turn on this guy, now we can see camera 1 and camera 2. Okay? So you now see the complete feedback loop of our setup here. We have the full feedback loop of color technology. We have very familiar cameras. This is a C400. That's an FX6 from Sony. Sorry, Canon C400, Sony FX6. We have a projector. That's a Rec 709 output on the screen. Okay. Now, I'm going to skip through this portion here. So I want to this is a review of what you're going to experience today. Our eyes lie to us. Who disagrees? Okay, good. So you understand, you've experienced in your life, our eyes can lie to us when we're working on set, trying to construct images. And they lie to us in 3 ways. Adaptation, right? Our brains are constantly churning and trying to figure out what it's seeing and constantly doing things to recompute the world to make sense all the time, right? And that's what we saw at the beginning of this talk, okay? Physics, okay? Our eyes throw out the physics of reality and boils it down into a couple of types of information so that we can make sense of the world, okay? And third, we have multiple observers, right? And even if I, for example, again, go here, as you can see, I've got my interface here. This is all set to 3200 Kelvin. I already even noticed that this little spill from that LED overhead feels kind of cyanish on his shoulder, but they're both set to 3200 Kelvin. It does not look cyanish on his shoulder. It looks kind of bluish, right? So you can already see that different observers have different responses, right? So let's now talk about adaptation, okay? And as we discussed, that is not a yellow box, right? And the reason being is this. What does red plus green equal? What color comes out of red and green when you combine the two? Anybody? Yellow. Yeah, right. We get yellow, right? And so let's look a little closer in this area, and then we inspected it earlier, right? What's going on here is you can see there's a boundary of red and green surrounding the white. And if I magnify it further, once the visual field starts shrinking down to a point of resolution of our eyes start filling in the information around it to produce yellow. We fill the gaps in mentally, right? So this is a concept called spatial adaptation, right? We have a context shows you how your brain should interpret the world, right? And then we also have something called time, where over time our brains get confused. So let's talk about spatial first, okay? So I'm going to run a demo here, and I want you to look at that set over there. And right now, what color is this? Red, right? And when I go here and I switch to, when I switch to this, it is very obviously red, right? But if I turn off one of those lights here, right? If I go here and I hit save, for some people, this is not for everybody. Eventually, if you keep looking at this, some people start perceiving this as orange. I see a couple heads nod, right? Raise your hand if you start seeing a little orangish red now, right? I see quite a few now, right? So, but if you look at the screen here, has anything changed? That's still deep red, right? And this is not a LUT, this is just a pure Rec 79 transform in the cameras, right? And if, for the folks of you that are seeing that start to turn orange in your head directly with your eyes, I'm going to just double click here and go back up on the light. 3, 2, 1, and go, right? Once you have this white element here, right next to it, all of a sudden, it looks deep red again, okay? So that's something called spatial adaptation, okay? Our brain computes color based off of what's around it. Does anybody remember, like, about 7 years ago, there was this whole internet sensation of this blue and gold dress, and everyone said it was blue and gold, or it was, what was the other called? It was no, it was black and blue or black and gold or something. It was crazy, but that's an example of spatial adaptation. Okay, that confusion that we get, right? So that's number one, how the brain tricks us based off of spatial adaptation, right? And I'm going to turn off these lights now. So let's talk about time adaptation, okay? So I want you to stare at the words in the middle and read it just a couple times. And I'm going to switch the slide, and just the moment I switch the slide, tell me what the color you see is. In 3, 2, 1, and go. What color is it? I see somebody here, I see some mouths saying kind of bluish, blue or cyan, right? But if you close your eyes for about 5 seconds, all right? Just close your eyes with me for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and open up again. Is that blue anymore? It's gray, right? So that's a matter of our eyes adapted to this color of red over time, and then when it go to this, that there was something in our eyes or something in the brain that had the persistence of that red color all of a sudden makes everything look cyan or whatever. It biased our brain. We had something called white balancing or something in our brains adapted over time to the color. So this is really important to know when you're lighting on set, but also when you're editing and designing the sequence in your movies or in your projects, that adaptation over time also informs how your shots and how your movie will feel, right? So these are some of the real life situations that adaptation impacts. So this lecture is not just here to make you see problems. I'm also here to try to present solutions. So using a visual ground is a way to anchor that adaptation. So if I go and turn on the incandescent light, and I get a gray card here, if I know that these cameras are set to 3200 Kelvin and I can you hold this for a moment? Have this person hold a gray card, right? And, right, I'm going to establish, can you point it to the light? There you go. You can see on the waveform monitor here that it is true gray, right? And if I go to here, camera number 2, it's still true gray, right? So now we know that light plus this gray card is my neutral ground for my set. So what I could do is once in a while, it doesn't even have to be on set, I could have a little tungsten light or whatever it is, preset, I established with this gray card, I could just literally just look at it. And when I need to reset my brain, and let's say it's a green scene or a red scene or a blue scene or something sort of saturated, or even just the daylight, whatever it is, this is my white. This is my neutral ground. I can reset my brain spatially, right? Or I could also just stare at it for a moment and then look at my scene and reset my brain. So that's why it's called a visual ground. It grounds you in vision from adaptation issues, right? And thank you so much, right? So this is just a practical tip of how to ground yourself. And that's what I was doing here with the red light. I put a white light here spatially as a visual ground, as a reference to say, oh, this is a true saturated red light. It's just that our eyes adapt very quickly, right? So that's number 1, right? Use a visual ground to anchor your adaptation. And number 2, physics. Okay, this is a harder one, okay? Julian, can I get you that yellow gel, please, and put it in front of the light, okay? So this is a Lee 101 gel. Oh, yes, yes, here. There you go. Sorry about that. Thank you, Julian. Okay. And as you can see in both cameras, it's yellow. Two different brands doing Rec Soda 9 with the yellow gel. And you look at the monitor there, the flag has red and green and a lot less blue. Oh, shoot, sorry. Sorry. There you go. That's better, right? Yes. So, right, so when I go right here, camera 1, camera 2, that's yellow, right? We established that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go live on here, okay? Yellow, yellow, and to my eye, that is yellow, right? But can you look on the screen? What does the camera show? Yellow, yellow, and white. That's nuts, right? And if you look at Stefan's skin here and my skin here, this is what natural yellow looks like. And can you stand up here? And can you walk in front of this flag here?
The middle one?
Yeah, the middle one here. That looks yellow, right? Now can you walk in front of the third flag here? Look at his hand, or in that light, or can you crouch down a little bit so we can see your face? In that light, go kind of more in the, there you go, there you go. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, don't worry about the camera. I want you to actually look at his face. With your eyes, you can tell something is different. And can you come back over to the middle flag? Sorry about that. Extremely different, right? Forget about the camera, right? And then come back here, back in your chair. Thank you, Stefan, right? You get a crazy result with your eyes, but you also get a crazy result in camera, right? So I metered it. The meter reading for the color is very similar amongst all three. This is slightly desaturated, obviously, but it's still a saturated yellow. But the physics is completely different, okay? So that begs the question, what is color, right? So color is really a subset of psychology because a color is a mental concept. It's not a physical reality. Color is a mental concept. It is an idea, okay? And so it is a subset of psychology called psychophysics. It's understanding the psychology of color and understanding the physics of color, right? And in this whole color pathway, we had a light, we have objects, and we have a subject here, and we have observers. All of your eyes and these two cameras, right? So what we have to understand in this pathway is that we have a light that produces energy, and that is what light is. Light is not a color. Light is energy, right? And that energy can look like something like this, where you have all sorts of different portions of it. And I'm going to skip through this. This is the white light of sun. This is the white light of incandescent, right? And that gel is an object that modifies it, right? So we're going to ask, how does objects like gel or even skin or a shirt change your light, right? Well, we have, let's say, daylight, and we have the back of my skin. My skin has its own way of modifying the spectrum, and it's basically like an equalizer for audio, okay? So once they get it through down here, that's the actual reflected light coming out. I've changed the physics of the energy, right? So every single object here, I've got this blue shirt and I got my white hand, and here he's got a white shirt, he's got different skin tone from me. It's all modifying the energy coming out, right? And it modifies it either as a gel by transmitting it, by reflecting it, or a third way through fluorescence. So the fluorescence is the one that's hard to explain. So this right here is a violet light. It's a very narrow spike of energy. This is still visible. You can see it, right? And if I switch to the camera here, and I ping the lens, you can see it, right? That it is a color that is visible, right? So it's not UV, this is just violet light. But look at this. Violet, not violet, right? If I really intensely shine this, it's magenta, orange, and green. So what's going on here is that there are dyes within these materials that convert this energy of violet into these other wavelengths, okay? And if you also see my white tag, what color is that? Anybody? Blue, right? I have a bunch of people saying blue, right? But you look at it on my skin, it's kind of violety with specks of white, right? So even our skin has fluorescence. And when you brush your teeth and you get teeth whiteners, what happens, right? It looks blue. And that's how it works, is that you've got natural white balancing in the world. That's why white objects look so clean white, is that they also convert violet into blue to whiten things. It's natural white balancing with material. So fluorescence is a complicated thing, but it's really important to have this wavelength. So that's another way, a misunderstood way, but hopefully you will understand this in your photography moving forward and lighting, that fluorescence is a reality, right? We're going to have a color pathway of the observer here. And the final thing to note is we have the physics of observation, right? And the way that I can best describe it is musical notes are similar to colors, okay? So I'm going to have to kind of lean in here. I'm going to play this note right here. Can you hear that? Okay. And piano, and trumpet, and there's a lady singing and holding a very uncomfortably long note, right? So this is all middle C. And it's the same tone of middle C. Yet, everybody in here, in this room, can hear the difference between these four sounds, even though, and I've spectroanalyzed it to be the same note of middle C, okay? And that's where our eyes are not the same as our ears, because our ears can hear this as a woman singing middle C, but our eyes throw out that information. And all they can see is the note or the color. So we cannot see the spectrum of violet, right? We can only really see the results of light hitting something, okay? And that's what cameras record as well, okay? So how does it impact your life? Well, if I had two types of white light, and I don't have time to do it right here. These are both 3200 Kelvin color spectrum, but in camera, as you can see, the two sets, the same set of fabrics looks completely different underneath the two different types of physics, right? The big word is called metamerism. Now, how does this help you in your life? Why should you care, right? Well, if you are preparing for a shoot and it is a commercial shoot and a client really cares about this shade of blue or that certain shade of red, you have to pre-test all this stuff, or you can measure the spectrum of the light with a spectrometer, which I don't know where I put my meter. Oh, it's down there on the ground. I'll get it later. you can therefore measure the physics of your meter, physics of your light using this meter, right? And the whole idea is you want to match the physics of what your camera expects if you want accuracy, right? Or you want to match the physics of the inaccurate light of, let's say, fluorescent. If you really want a fluorescent light and the ugliness, that dirtiness, that's the tone of your world, you should match the physics of fluorescent in order to get that grittiness and ugliness of the world. It doesn't mean that you dial in with just a gel or something else to get there. It really needs to be that physics, okay? So it's not just the color, it's the physics. So how does this all work? Well, cameras are calibrated to this. They work with these type of energy signals to define the color signals, okay? And what's going on here is, let's say at 5600 Kelvin, that's the spectrum of 5600 Kelvin at the top. For red, orange, yellow, green, etc., that's going to correctly map the physics of all those colors to be all the colors in the camera going to your signal, right? If you deviate from that, then it'll start deviating from the actual colors that you want. So bringing it back to here. The tungsten light by itself looks like that. That's the spectrum, the physics of tungsten. This is the spectrum of this gel added to tungsten, okay? And it looks like that, right? But the physics of this guy is a red diode and a green diode tricking your brain to see directly yellow, but it's not the same physics, okay? So we have, in a nutshell, this is what you're seeing in front of you. You have incandescent spectrum with yellow. That's the spectrum of the ADC in the middle using the Blair CG engine. When I was specifying the LED engine in that light, the whole idea is not to do RGB color, it's to actually model the physics of the true spectrum of, let's say, yellow, right? That's the goal. That's what we're all trying to strive for, right? And then on the right is RGB yellow. And again, when I go here, I get this, right? And again, two different observers seeing the same problem, right? And can you put your hand just in front of the other flag right there? So you can still see that, again, it's not just a party trick. It's simply, when you get the right physics, it's a pretty seamless color response across the two different light sources, right? Because again, you match the physics. It's that simple, right? So finally, multiple observers. So how do our eyes lie? Well, we're going to try to do some green screen work, okay? And what I'm going to do is go to here, and I'm going to go to this, unload this look here, okay? And let's see here. Why did it do that? Oh, hold on a second here. Oh, I see. Okay, and I'm all accused. Okay, great. All right, so this right here is supposed to be green screen. According to this camera, it looks chroma green to camera one, right? And if you look at the vector scope, the green is pointing straight to green, right? But camera two, it's kind of cyanish. So what am I going to have to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to have to decrease my hue even further save that. So now it's more chroma green, right? In camera. But wait a second. Let me pan this off. Does that look green to you? No, right? It's kind of this kind of lime sort of color, right? And again, this is the issue of multiple observers see different things. I've set this camera to 3200 Kelvin, the other camera to 3200 Kelvin, and I'm getting different results, even between the two cameras, let alone my direct eye sees this as lime green, right? So, but what matters is not my eye in this case. I just want pure chroma green in my FX6. And when I get pure chroma green in my FX6, I can time out right here, have a green, have white backdrop, and use this light and get true chroma green and get the result I want to key out the background, right? So who cares what it is to my eyes on set when that's what matters? But again, my eyes lied when I look at that, right? And it's the same deal with blue. So if I do chroma blue, right here, okay. Oh, that's too intense. And I know my time is almost up. Okay. What color is that to my eye? That's blue to my eye, but on screen, that looks violet, right? It's a little too violet. So what I'm gonna do is, okay, I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna change my hue. Right there, so that's pure chroma blue. It's a little off, so maybe I'll go back down here to go back up a little bit. Right there, and lower the intensity. There you go. So that, to the camera that is seeing it right now, is chroma blue. But that's kind of a baby blue, or it is not a pure blue anymore, right? But it's a great pure chroma blue according to this, right? To go up here, right? And if I go to camera 1, that's to cyan. So what am I going to do? I'm going to increase it to here. Okay. So that's a very pure blue, but now to my eye that kind of looks violetish, right? And a lot of times when you're doing blue screen work, it'll look violet. And sometimes in some cameras I've worked with, it is straight up violet, right? So again, when your eyes lie to you, you have to understand that the camera is a different observer, but that's a different observer that matters. So use that as your tool to work, right? So in a nutshell, if there's anything to learn, is prioritize the observer to get the results you want. Have a white gray card with the light that is going to give that gray card the right gray in camera, and have that be your visual ground on the set as a result. Choose the right physics to get the result that you want, and evaluate all these things at the end with the observer that makes that's the observer for your project, the camera, right? So that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, we don't have time, right? Oh, okay. So we have questions, yeah.